afternoon, everyone. Our opening prayer. The energy of love is within us and is us. Whole and complete is the I am that we are. We awaken to the truth of our being. We will this be done within and without. May we come to recognize that we receive all that we give. We know that we have forgiven others when we forgive them of all grievances held within our minds. May we not be led in temptation by the voice of separation, but instead may we transcend all illusions. For ours is the power, peace, and love of Christ consciousness found within each of us, who is but the perfect extension of the one mind and heart that is shared by all and is our birthright as the holy extensions of love itself. Our affirmation of faith. We believe in one God, the author and energy of all life, whose love sustains the universe and all things found within it. Our 5 Christ principles. 1. There is only one energy in the universe. That energy is love in all times, active in everyone, everywhere. 2. We are the divine energy of love, and that energy is found throughout the universe and in all things, whether seen or unseen. 3. We create our experiences by what we choose to think, feel, and believe, thereby establishing our responsibility for our own choices. 4. Through opening our heart center, we connect with the energy of love and bring out the Christ within us. 5. We express our desire to be of service when we live and demonstrate Christ consciousness in all our affairs. And God loves you like crazy.
Thank you, Bobby. And hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'd like to thank those watching, those who will watch later in the week. And I'd like to welcome you to the Church of Christ Consciousness. We are here for those who are truly ready to live the truth of their being. Today, I want to start with a question. So the topic title is really a question, all right? Why is it easier for us to be angry than to forgive? One more time. Why is it easier for us to be angry and to stay and remain in anger than it is for us to forgive? Right now, I'm going to ask each one of you to try to recall an event, someone that you were angry with recently. Just pull it to mind. If you can pull it to mind, it means one thing: you haven't forgiven it. Because in true forgiveness, there's no memory of it. You never think about it. But I want to ask you this question. Where does anger come from? What is the root of all anger? All right, what is the root of all anger? Anger is created from unresolved hurt. When we are hurt, emotionally hurt, physically hurt, but really I'm talking about the emotional hurt. Someone says something to us that we don't like, and it hurts our feelings. If we don't deal with the hurt, we will become angry. The Bible says something very, very important about anger that I want you to recognize. In the Bible, we're told, both in the Old Testament and the New Testament, do not let the sun set on your anger. In other words, don't go to bed angry. We're even told what we're supposed to do if we find ourselves in the evening still angry. We're supposed to go to that person and try to heal it. There's a reason why. If you go to bed angry, you wake up with something the next morning called a resentment. And a resentment now is carried anger. Most people, then when they recognize they have a resentment, rather than dealing with it, they stuff it, they push it down, because what do they think? What can I do about it? Whatever. But it is still festering. It still lives within the unconscious mind, festering. Now, in time, you have a grievance. And that's important, because the word grievance comes from grieve, which comes from the Latin to the grave. And that's what most people do. They take their resentment, their anger, all the way to the grave with them because they didn't deal with it. Recognize, let's go back to a resentment. A resentment is literally when we believe we've been hurt, made a victim, and the other person is the one to blame. We blame them for what we believe was done to us. 20 years later, I've known people who've held resentments and grievances for 20 plus years. And they just keep playing it over and over and over in their mind. Not realizing that every time they do, it becomes stronger. It festers that much more. And ultimately, those resentments and grievances begin to attack the body. I'd like to share this. It's kind of a personal story. My brother Ben passed away, and he passed in 1997. He was young, very young, and he had brain cancer. Being my brother, I knew he had a ton of resentments. When my mother wrote a book that I only knew that half existed, the other half, she laid all of this out. And she laid out a conversation that she had had with my brother. And she wanted him to recognize that he was of a family that really understood resentments, knew how to make resentments, keep resentments, and keep them going internally. And she really believed that he developed brain cancer because of the resentments just eating at his physical. So as I have listened to someone read the book to me, it's brought up a lot of stuff. One of her favorite sayings was, "You have to feel it to heal it." She tried to tell my brother Ben, look at your resentments. It comes from the hurt. They came from being hurt, but you stuffed that hurt. Feel it and let it go. But my brother didn't understand how to let it go. And I've come to recognize, because of the events that happened last night, boy, there are a lot of angry people. And their anger is because they believe they've been hurt or wronged by something, or someone, or a group. Anger, resentments, grievances are always built on, I'm right and you're wrong. You hurt me, therefore you're bad. I ask this question. Where did you drop your responsibility? Where did you forget that you were responsible for how you felt? Where did you forget your own feelings and to take care of them? That's what this talk is about. You have to feel it to heal it. You feel it, forgive it. But why is it easier to remain in anger than to forgive? The answer is simple. Because nobody wants to accept responsibility. As my mother said and told Ben, before he had his first surgery, but he never dropped it. He was molested when he was 8 years old. No one in the family knew it at the time, but he carried anger and resentment over it. My mother, in her book, she says, look, son, children are victims. Adults, they're the volunteers. When that happened to you as a child, yes, you were a victim. You were 8 years old. But the moment that you grew up, every time you think of it, then you're a volunteer. You are volunteering to re-experience, to re-feel what happened. Then she says to my brother, by the way, that's what the word resentment means, to re-feel. S-E-N-T is the Latin root that means feeling, to feel. So a resentment is a re-feeling, a recalling of something that happened in the past that is no longer there. But because you are attached through a resentment, you're no longer in the present where healing can happen. You're over here in the past, living in the past where all the damage occurred. This is where the damage occurred in the past that right now is not even there. It's gone. Long gone. But how many of us would rather stay back there than to come into this moment where love is found, forgiveness is found, and where our healing is found? And from love, forgiveness, and healing, we are released. Our freedom is in this moment. So every time you think of something that happened back there, I want you to do me a favor. See the chain that has now bound you to a past that isn't even there. You couldn't bring it into the present moment if you tried. It's gone. But what you can bring into the present moment is the resentment, where you will re-feel the hurt, the anger, and just continue to stew. So this isn't just something that is personal that we do individually. I want you to recognize that we're doing this as a collective consciousness in this moment. We're so divided, each blaming the other side for what, at this point, only God knows, because I'm not even sure that many people can articulate it at all. They glam on to something that others are saying because they think that that's what they're supposed to be doing, because they cannot think it through for themselves in the moment. Well, individually, that makes sense. The collective can only do what we're doing individually. The collective needs healing. And if the collective needs healing, guess what the individual must need? That creates the collective. If the collective is this messed up, individually there must be a lot of messed up people. And it's because we haven't dealt with our feelings. We're called sentient beings on purpose. By the way, sentient, is a Latin word that we still use today. Most people think that it means higher in order. We're sentient. No, it doesn't mean that we're higher in order. It means that we are beings of feeling. Sent, S-E-N-T, means again to feel. We're beings of feeling. Most of us wouldn't know a feeling if it bit us on our rear end. And if we do, if it's anything negative, we stuff it, thereby creating a resentment or a grievance. And if it's something positive like joy or happiness, we don't stay there very long. We, as a collective, are trying to reflect back to each of us that it's time to heal ourselves, to let go, to forgive, to realize that our hurt, our anger, our resentments are only hurting us and hurting us collectively. We must let go. It's time. We know by looking at the past, if we don't, we're doomed. But human beings never have had a penchant for learning from the past. We must now, or we're only hurting ourselves. So each one of you watching, who will watch later in the week, who are here in person today, take an inventory, take an assessment. Are you still holding on to something that happened years ago? Maybe it was even something that someone said 2 or 3 days ago, but you haven't yet forgiven it. I'm going to give each of us a challenge. The more of us that will do it right now, this week, today, tonight, throughout the week, the better collectively we will be by the end of the week. Forgive. Forgive. Let it go. First, then find out how happy you are when you let it go. The freedom that comes from laying it down, no longer carrying the burden. If you go to bed tired, I want you to ask yourself this. Where am I still carrying a burden, a resentment? Because it's carrying that wearies us. God gives us all the strength that we need. But if we're carrying resentment, we're carrying hate. And if we carry hate, then we're not carrying love. And if we're not carrying love, we're not carrying God in our heart. The choice is ours. It really is that simple. We can either hate or love. We can be miserable or love. We can be guilty or be in love. The choice is ours. I will say this. Collectively, everything is coming to a head. And it's doing that because on an individual basis, it's coming to a head. It's time to let it go. It's time to heal it. So if we look from a positive perspective, instead of going, what? The world is crazy, everything is crazy. Well, grant you it's a little chaotic. But the chaos, if we look at the chaos and go, I can see this differently because I can choose to forgive it and be free. Each one of us that becomes free, that lives in the freedom, that forgiveness, that healing, that joy that comes from living in and through and from love, will help the next person do the same. So I'm going to end with this. Jesus said, you are the light of the world. That's in the Bible. I don't really hear much other pastors talk about it. He gave a really nice sermon on it. You are the light of the world. But you hide your light under a bushel so that nobody else can see it. And then wonder why everything that is going on around as it is. Because if you are the light of the world and you hide your light, then it can be nothing but dark around you. You're the light. And if you're the light, you have one job. Jesus gave it to us. He told us our one job is to help light the spark in the next one, who then lights it in the next one. I brought this on purpose. I can light something from this flame, and if I do, it doesn't take anything away from that flame. There's nothing lost. When you give your light, you do not lose your light. Your light expands and grows, and will do the same for the next. It will spark the light that is within them. And that light is the light of God. It is the light of Jesus himself. So I will quote the Bible once more. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. And the light was the light of man. But the light wasn't comprehended by the dark, for the darkness could not comprehend the light. So I'm asking each of you today, comprehend the light. Be the light. To comprehend just means to be it, to know it, to live it, to feel it. And it's time to love. As Jesus said, love ye one another as you love yourselves. Love each other. And if we truly do love each other, how can we be angry with each other? So, thank you. And now I will turn it over to Miss Penny for our short meditation.
Just sit there and get comfortable. Breathe in and hold it to the count of 4. And breathe out and hold to the count of 3. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. And as you move into your own heart center and set your breath at your natural pace, Let's be within our heart center. Let's stand in the light and breathe peace in and breathe love out. And as you stand within your light, if a distraction arises, whether through a thought or through a feeling, cover it with white light. Cover it with the light of Christ and bless it and let it go. And sit in peace. And as you go through your week this week, send the light before you. See those around you covered in light, radiating their own light, and be peace.
Thank you, Ms. Penny. As we come to the close, may I remind you, you are the light of the world. You are the love of the world. You are the Christ in this moment. Please understand. We're being called on to heal the world, to heal ourselves. And we will heal to the depth that we love ourselves. Let me say that once more. We will heal to the depth that we truly love ourselves. So I hope that you can find a depth of love for yourself that you've never before experienced, so that you can experience a healing that you didn't even know could happen. Be the love, give the love, share the love, and be the light that this dark world needs right now. Let's bring the world to a glow that it would be able to be seen from the farthest galaxy in this universe. We can do that. If you would, please say silently our closing prayer. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, all that I share, all that I receive. We give, we receive, we have, we are everything through and from love. Be at peace, share your peace, and be the light. Thanks, everyone. See you next week.